Welcome, everyone. I'd like to begin by wishing everyone a happy Friday. I know it's a rather hot and humid Friday, so I hope that you're somewhere enjoyable and relaxing. We're looking forward to today's presentation. We have some amazing graduate alums with us today. I think you'll be very impressed to hear their pathway, not only academically, but where they are today in their lives. And I first and foremost want to thank each of them for agreeing to spend an hour with us today. Everyone has busy careers and it's been a challenging 18 months. So I hope that everyone is doing well, your families are well, we're staying safe and happy and healthy. So thank you everyone for coming. My name is Valerie Cabral, and on behalf of the Office of Alumni Relations, we are honored each year to participate in the Graduate Student Orientation Week. We're thrilled to welcome the new class. We are hoping that you will have a fantastic, fantastic year with us and more great things to come. So thank you for making NYU Tandon your school of choice. We know that we're going to be great partners, and let's get started. I'm going to ask, because we really want this to be casual and there's a whole lot of information that we want everyone to understand and hear and get questions answered. So I am going to start by asking our panelists to introduce themselves by name, degree, year. Tell us who you are, what you're doing, when you came to us, and any high points that you think professionally you are most proud of right now. And then I'll be turning into some questions. So may I start with Valentina DaCosta? We need to unmute Valentina. There you go.
I unmuted and then can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Sorry for the background. I'm working from home today. So my name is Valentina. I work for Con Edison. I'm a district manager here at Energy Services. I've been with the company for about 5 years. I started off as an intern, went into a rotation program, and then now for about 2.5 years, I'm here as a district manager. I manage South Brooklyn, which is, I think, everything from East New York all the way to Coney Island. And I basically handle all of the retail and small commercial electric service requests. So when I went to NYU, I was a chemical engineer. I did the dual degree program. So I did my BS and MS in chemical engineering. And I don't know, what else am I supposed to cover about?
A good start. You may not wish to share, but Valentina is a member of the Polytechnic Alumni Association. So she sits on our volunteer board, which is an important detail because our board members are very active and very concerned and dedicated to the success of the next generation of Tandon alumni. And all of you, by virtue of the fact that you have joined Tandon, will soon be alumni. So you're sort of alumni in training. So I wanted to let you know that she is a board member and we value her service to the university and to the fellow alumni and students. So next, Priyana, would you like to go?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking our time today. I'm Priyanjana. I just graduated in May 2021. I came to NYU in fall 2019, pursued a master's in management of technology, and I'm currently working as associate vice president at BNY Mellon. And let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm very, very happy to connect after this call, during this call, and make sure that you make use of this platform right now also. A lot of people shy away because I've been on the other side too. So make sure you make the most of it, guys. Thank you so much.
And Anthony, would you like to go next? Anthony.
I just noticed I muted myself, so sorry.
No worries, no worries.
All right, let's start again. So my name is Anthony Wang, And it's a real honor and pleasure to be here today to speak with everyone. So thank you for having me here. And I think 3 years ago, approximately 3 years ago, I was in everyone's situation right here in this room, really looking forward and getting ready for the first day of class. And, I think this feeling of a mix of excitement and nervousness is definitely what was in my mind back in the day, especially I was also an international student. So, not knowing what graduate school is like in the United States, I think more or less there's a little bit of nerve-wracking experience. But I think I can assure every one of you in this room right now that, it's going to be a great, great experience, because just like this Young Alumni Panel and the new student orientation, this is one of the many, many resources that NYU and NYU Tandon is providing everyone to ensure our success in the academic career and also beyond to our professional career. So, there's no need to worry about anything. Just make sure you sit back, relax, and really start taking advantage of all the resources around you, and everyone will do really great. And I guess a little bit more about me. I'll just do like a couple highlights. I did my master's degree in mechanical engineering. I graduated 2020. And when I was in Tandon, I worked at a makerspace. And I also worked at Agile Robotics and Perception Lab. And I was also a participant and also winner of the 2020 NYU Innovation Competition, which is a startup competition that NYU hosts every year. And currently I'm working at Amazon as a robotics integration engineer. So my job is to commission and deploy robotics technology in sites that Amazon are building, fulfillment centers that Amazon are building across the United States. And hence I am wearing this hat today because pretty much in these, at work, we have to wear full PPE. So safety shoes, goggles, hard hats, and high visibility vests. So that's my day-to-day attire. So I look forward to talking more about any experience that might be helpful in this panel. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you. Kanak, I guess that's segue because you're also at Amazon, correct?
Yes.
So please, you're not in a hard hat, but
Yeah.
I hope you'll give us a taste of what you do currently at Amazon.
Yep, for sure. So hello, everyone. My name is Kanak. I am currently working as a senior technical program manager at Amazon, mainly having the duties of doing the instance launches at AWS. So as you would know and probably use a lot of virtual machines in the cloud, that's what I drive them from the idea of what kind of machines do we want up there to actually having them and customers using it. Previously, to get started on my journey, I have started as an SDE, so that's software development engineer at IBM and Intel. I have been having the expertise in the cloud area, so Kubernetes, AWS, Azure Stack, OpenStack. So anyone needing any help on cloud or cloud technologies, please do reach out to me. I'll be happy to answer those questions. And I actually joined Amazon in fall of 2014, graduated in 2016, and definitely loved every part of my NYU journey. Specifically, the resources that are available at NYU Tandon, plus all the resources available from NYU itself. There's a lot to actually experience in the city. Probably in the beginning, everybody will feel overwhelmed, but that's a natural part. Eventually, the city will grow on you and you'll definitely love it.
Fantastic. We have a special guest who is joining us today from India. He's actually joining from Chennai. So big shout out to Nitish in Chennai and to all of our graduate students who are hailing from an area much close to that part of the world. So Nitish, would you take yourself on mute and join us for this conversation?
Sure. Thanks, Valerie, for having me, and very good afternoon to all of you joining in from the US and whatever time zones you are in different parts of the world. My name is Nitin Ram. I graduated from Tandon in 2018 with my master's in management of technology. I'm now a senior organizational consultant with McKinsey & Company. I work on organizational engagements, including leadership development and culture and change. My experience at Tandon is something that I really cherish as much as a rhetoric that may sound. I'm sure everyone has had great experiences hearing from the other panelists. I think one thing that will always, I would say, like, the best 2 minutes of my life was like, carrying that banner across, at Yankees and sharing the stage with Right Honorable Justin Trudeau. He was at my commencement, and I think Channel was a great experience. I also had the privilege of being the president of the Graduate Student Council then and sat on the board of overseers, which is when I got introduced to Valerie. And also a big shout out to her and Ally for organizing this. And I think I owe them a huge amount of gratitude, and this would be the right forum for me to say. So if you have any questions breaking into management consulting or would like to know about what's it to like to work at McKinsey, feel free to give me a shout out, and more than happy to engage with all of the other panelists, and excited to be learning across all of your journeys and experiences, and wishing you the very best ahead.
Thank you, Nitish. And last but not least, Sharaya, please welcome. And so happy that you're able to juggle your work day to join us. So you can jump right in. We're doing a quick update about who you are and your journey to Tandon and what you currently do.
Sure. Thanks, Valerie. I'm so sorry I'm late, but I'm glad I finally made it just in time. Hi, everyone. My name is Shreya. I graduated from NYU last year from Master's in Financial Engineering program. I guess looking back further, my bachelor's was in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from VIT in India. And right now I work with Barclays Investment Bank as an analyst for their equities trading team, where we work to manage the risks of our portfolio against movements in the markets. I'm very happy to be here. Welcome to NYU and to New York for those who made it to New York, and looking forward to answering all the questions.
Terrific. And so now let's jump into our questions. And to the audience, if you should have any particular questions, all of our alumni panelists have graciously agreed to continue their connection with you post today. And I think sometimes people meet someone at an event and feel hesitant to reach out, but everyone has agreed that the communication should continue. So you can reach any of them by checking LinkedIn. So we hope that you will take them up on their really generous offer to stay connected with you today. So I'm going to kick off by asking a few general questions, and we'll go round robin. In the effort to get through as many of the questions as possible. I'm telling the panelists that they don't have to look to answer each and every question. Answer the one that is that's a hot topic for you and one that you really want to jump on. So I'm going to start and Valentina, I think I'm going to come back to you. Why did you choose to pursue a master's degree? Why did you pursue it with us? And what did you hope to achieve by attaining an advanced degree in STEM?
Okay, so why did I choose to do a master's degree? That is because going in to an engineering field and doing a bit of research, I did realize that, your master's is your new bachelor's now in the career field. So I did want to, put myself above the majority of the applicants that apply for jobs. I wanted to set myself apart, and a master's degree definitely helps you to do that. Why did I pursue a master's in NYU? So I was part of the BSMS program. It was a great opportunity for me to not only, continue with the rapport that I created with professors and with the student body and the curriculum, but it was also a reputable master's program. So I was already doing research as an undergrad, and I was fortunate enough to continue that into my master's. So it was a bit of a convenience that played a factor into me choosing NYU, but also the reputation, the connection, the network that I got from this university was a very big selling point for me to continue my master's here. You asked one more thing, Valerie, and I don't remember
What did you hope to achieve by getting a STEM degree, an advanced degree in STEM? Maybe
right. So
thinking long term, you know.
yes, definitely long term. I'm a planner, so I've been planning ever since I graduated high school. So I planned for my bachelor's in chemical engineering, and then I planned to be part of the MS program. And so I definitely plan for the future, and I know that a STEM degree sets you apart in the career field out there. I looked at a lot of opportunities and the types of fields I would like to be involved in, and all of them kind of require that STEM field. But most importantly, I think something that I didn't realize that a STEM degree helped me with was, to be honest with you, I graduated in 2017, and do I remember every detail of every chemie class I took? No. But what an engineering degree has done for me is it's allowed me to think in very unusual ways. Whatever problems that I get thrown at, I'll come up with unique solutions that leave, my team, my management team, my coworkers, people that report to me, like very like surprised, like, oh, we could have done it this way. So I think the one biggest thing that I have accomplished through my STEM degree is to develop this logical, this problem solving thinking skill that you think everybody has innately, but you don't realize how much you lack it until you go through these programs in STEM and build it. So I think that was my most valuable thing that I got.
Thank you. Would someone else like to take on this question? Give their perspective on this? I'm opening up the floor to anyone who would like to. We have a lot of questions to get through, so if you feel that that was plenty and you would echo that answer, then I'm going to go on to the next question.
I'm just sorry, Valerie, sorry to cut you off. I just want to add something to what Valentina said, which I completely agree with, is the problem solving approach. I'm not going to talk about why I chose to do a STEM degree and all, but I think one of the things that my mentor told me is, and I know this is a very generalized way of saying this, but he said that when you do undergrad, you're fed all the answers. When you do master's, you look for the answers. And when you do PhD, you ask the questions. So I think I didn't know this going into the program, but now that I've graduated and I look back, I think that's an appropriate way of putting it for me, where throughout the program, I was not fed things, but I was continuously looking for solutions, continuously looking for answers. And I think that's something that you take away from any field that you choose to do your master's in, and then you take it in your career where you constantly look for answers and question things. And I think that's a good approach that you learn while you do your master's.
Thank you for adding that.
Hey,
I'm gonna, yeah.
This is Anthony. If I may just piggyback on top of what Valentina and Shreya mentioned earlier. I think I totally agree with them saying that getting a degree as in STEM, it doesn't really matter what you study, but what you're getting a part of the education is training you to have the engineering, the scientific mindset, which would really take you this skill set would really take you far, no matter in your academic career or professional career. And I think I kind of want to point out my reason of going to doing a master's degree, because it is very different from Valentina's answer, and I think probably different from it may resonate a little bit with other people. And if this was a job interview and I was asked this question, I would say, oh, I definitely want to. I already knew what I want. I want to do a deep dive in robotics, especially the kinematics and path planning. So that's why I decided to go to grad school. But matter of fact was I didn't know what I want to do, and I wanted to take some more time. And I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to continue my education, to spend 2 years in studying in school. And I guess back in undergrad, I did my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering with a concentration in manufacturing. But in my opinion, that was still too broad. It was way too early for me to know that is exactly what I want to do in my career. So I kind of, I guess, took the shortcut or maybe the safe path to give myself 2 extra years to go to grad school. And I think this is what the curriculum at Tandon really stands out, because I think the curriculum designed by the school is really enabling people who have already a clear path, what they want to do, but also don't really know what to do. That's okay. You know, you choose a concentration, but the curriculum also ensured that you have the opportunity, and it's actually a requirement that you have to take classes outside of your concentration. And I think one of a good example is when I was probably my third semester in, I took a class in energy policy, which was taught by, it was jointly taught by one of the instructor was Professor Avgerinos, Gabriel Avgerinos. And I think he really raised the bar in the content of that course. And for someone who had zero idea about what energy policy, renewable energy was about, I think, you know, being able to have the exposure to this course, which I highly recommend, you know, really just elevated my knowledge in a field that I completely had no idea that I would be so interested in. But I guess trying to wrap everything to a full circle, the courses at NYU, it's designed to be like a graduate slope. So even early on, if you take like, you know, for me, one of the first classes I took were linear controls, engineering mathematics. So even if you do choose a different path towards the end, these fundamental courses would still be very useful later on. So there really isn't a wrong path at NYU, because they are designed to help you find what you really want to do in your professional career.
Thank you, Anthony. Let me get off mute. Thank you, Anthony. Anthony. And I'm glad that you were the last of the panelists to take on that question, because you raised 2 points, which is going to allow me to jump into my next question, as well as to, I'm watching the chat box, and I'm also going to address one of the questions that are in the chat box. But shout out to Gabriel, faculty member that you mentioned, and one of our stellar mentors. He's joining us on the call. He's not a shy man, but he had no idea that he'd be mentioned. So I'm going to hope that later on we can at least get him to say a word or two to the new class. But thank you for recognizing, you know, the importance of faculty members and being open to courses and areas of study that you may not have given thought to. So my next question, what skills did you learn while in graduate school that have been most helpful to you in your career? How did you learn them? Example, in the classroom, working on group projects, leadership, research, through a faculty member. If you'd like to take on this question, please just unmute yourself and jump right in. I hope that we'll have varied answers from a few of our panelists.
I think I can go for this one.
Hey, Pri, thank you.
So I think one thing that has actually helped me personally, and I can emphasize more on it because I've been actually using it on my job now, is a lot of communication. I think what classes and team projects, etc., teach you is how to communicate and how to network. And to everyone who's on this group call, I'd like to tell you guys that make sure that you network a lot, but with just the intention of networking and getting as much information and knowledge as you can. Use your resources well. There are plenty you will find at NYU. So yeah, a lot of communication, keep talking to people and make the most of your time here. Thank you.
Would anyone else care to?
I'd
Maybe
like to go
go
ahead.
for it. No, go for it.
Thanks. I would like to actually add, definitely Pri got a nice point up. So two major skills that I basically learned first, obviously you are doing a degree in STEM, so technical skills. The expertise in technical skills, those were because of the classes I took, the professors I had, and also the best thing at least happened to me was I was working on projects with the professors. So as a research assistant and graduate assistant, definitely adds up in your resume, and you actually have deep dived in those areas. So that definitely speaks up for your work, that you were actually involved in those projects, you were taking care of them. And also when you are taking care of a project or working on that, you also develop now the second skill, which is the management skills here. So you are working with team members, you are probably leading the project, you are making sure everything is on point, the assignments are done on time. So that definitely helps in a broader perspective. And the second most important skill, I think that Pri already mentioned, is the networking skills that I learned at NYU. Because of the resources available, specifically the Career Center, the Wasserman Career Center, and also all the other resources, and even just like so easy and free to just reach out to professors and talk to them, or even the seniors, definitely had a big part in getting my career started and also landing me jobs. So the networking part definitely speaks up for it for NYU.
Thank you. Nitin, you had something to add?
Yeah, I think both of them summed it up really well. I think one key line that one of my mentors, Professor Pavlos at the Department of Technology Management, used to say was, "Your network is always your net worth," right? And it's about making those meaningful connections. So one thing is to network extensively, but the other thing is to bring your authentic self and convert that network, make that into a smaller circle and make those connections really meaningful, right? I think that is something I kind of learned by practice. And the second thing is your project management skills, right? As international students, you have a lot to juggle. You kind of live off campus. You have to fend for your own finances in some cases. You work on campus to do that. Then you have your assignments to do. So real-time project management skills is something I think any coursework at Tandon automatically equips you with. So these were my two big skills, besides all of the tech skills that you kind of anyways get out of your coursework.
Thank you. All good answers. I do want to jump into the chat box for a minute and pull one of the questions because it seems to be flowing right into what was just suggested. I wanted to know it's about networking. How do you connect with a professor? How do you get them to agree to have you work with them on a lab? I mean, I have my own ideas on that, but you're the experts. So I'm going to turn it into you. How do you get the eye of a professor or the ear of a professor so that they're willing to have you, join them in their work?
So
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
okay, so for me personally, how it worked out was, I would say you obviously have to build that rapport with the professor, because you have to build that authenticity and your credibility that you are worth that he or she gives you the project. So for me, how it worked, that I actually took the classes with the professors before, like the semester earlier, and I made sure that I am probably visible to the professor by can be different things. Getting more new ideas, working on different projects, talking to professor, getting all the assignments done. You obviously get good grades. Um, so all those items definitely, and you kind of come in the professor's eye, and then eventually it's like you ask him or her that if they have any vacancy available or any project they're looking forward that you can step on, because you definitely are interested. So first thing is obviously, because you're interested, take that class, and second, because of that high interest itself, take that project. Just don't go into just because of the project.
Thank you. Anthony, I think you wanted to jump on that too.
Yes, I was gonna say, find a professor you like and then hold on to him, and then just him or her, and then just keep begging. But that was obviously gonna be a joke. But I think I totally agree. Your work would definitely speak for yourself if you participate in the professor's class and, assignment on time, and, constantly speak up in class and go after for office hours. Make sure that, let your work speak for yourself, prove to the professor that, hey, I'm actually worth it. But in my case, it was a little bit of a different experience. So I got an email from Professor Giuseppe Loiano from ARPL, and he was asking for people who wants to be a course TA. And this is actually another segue that could take you to working in a lab too. So he was asking for people who wants to apply for the position to be a TA for a course. And I believe I did pretty, not bad, the previous semester. So I told him, hey, can I apply? But then at that point, I was already one of the later responses to the email. So he said, you're going to have, if you want to be a TA, you're not going to be paid. You're going to have to be a volunteer TA because we already fill up all the spots for paid TAs. And I was like, you know what? It's a good opportunity for me to also review my knowledge in that course. Might as well do it. So I went and became a volunteer TA, unpaid, and dedicating a couple hours every week, and doing my best to prove myself that hey, I'm actually good at being a TA, or good at knowing my course materials well enough. And then later on, he offered me, and he said, hey, I actually have this opportunity. I want to see, you've been working for me without pay. Do you want to go to Abu Dhabi for a competition on robotics? And I was like, wow, this is once in a lifetime opportunity. I definitely can't say no to it. And then he said, okay, so, a little bit of background about me. I'm not a really good coder at all, at least before. Mechanical was my background. So I know very little about software, about computer architecture, about Linux systems. And then he said, okay, if you want to go to this competition, you got to learn all this in 2 months. So that was winter break. I just signed up for a course. I proved that, hey, even though I'm not coming from a computer background, but I could still utilize all the resources offered by school, the resources that I find online, and just, take advantage and learn on my own, use my own time to learn this skill set. And then fast forward 2 months later, I was in Abu Dhabi, and it was a collaboration of UPenn, NYU, and also a technical university from Czech. And we had this mega team, and we were just in the middle of Abu Dhabi in the desert, coding, flying drones, and then to the competition where we were building robots that autonomously goes in and build walls, and also puts out fire and catch balls, pop balloons in the air. It was just a really crazy experience. And if anyone is interested, the competition is called MBZ IRC. It stands for Mohammed bin Zayed International Robotics Competition. And our school ended up winning the first place. And it was a pretty big deal back then, because it was one of the first times that, it was the second winner of that competition. But anyways, I guess what I was trying to say is, you never know what one opportunity would lead to another. And so sometimes if you accept one thing, even though that might not align with your end goal, but if you just stick with it and you give your 100%, just continually proving yourself that, hey, I could do this job well. And then one thing is eventually going to lead to another. And then, when you look back, all the dots are going to be aligned, and you'll see why things happen for a reason. So just hold on to the opportunity. Don't think that because it doesn't align with, hey, working at a lab, you don't want to do it. You never know what it will lead you to.
Okay. Thank you. Nitin, I think it put something in the chat box you want to mention.
Yeah, I actually wanted to give a couple of tips on how not to network, particularly on LinkedIn. This was again a useful tip that I'm sure Kirin, she kind of shared this with me. Two things, right? LinkedIn first, I think oftentimes you need to draw a distinction between like your social media and how you kind of present yourself on professional media, right? The first thing I'm sure, like, the Office of Career Services does a great job in it is please get a professional headshot done before you actually kind of start like, creating your LinkedIn profile. The second, whenever you're reaching out to someone on LinkedIn, always remember that is the best version of you on paper. So when you're reaching out, just make sure you kind of customize your messages, not a generic message, and do not ever say, I'm on the lookout for an opportunity the first time ever, right? Because that kind of kills the authenticity of the relationship that you're trying to build with the other person. So 2 thoughts I thought I'd have.
Thank you, and 2 really good points. I do want to make a pitch. When it comes to networking, I hope that you'll look to the alumni as potential opportunities for making relationships. And I'm saying making relationships. As Nitish just said, you need to bring your authentic self when you're making those connections, because you know, at the end of each day, we're all human beings. You don't want to share yourself in a one-dimensional way. All of the things that make you who you are, make you unique, are things that help build relationships with people. Talking about what high school you went to once got me the job I sit in today. And who knew? Who knew that that would be something that would set me apart by me mentioning a high school that I went to. But there are so many things that we do in our personal lives that are interesting and that other people are also doing. So share not only what your aspirations are professionally, talk about your volunteerism, talk about what you like to do in your personal life. Maybe you're a biker, maybe you like to swim, maybe you're someone who does a lot of volunteer work for not-profit agencies. All of those things are helpful. So one, you want to reach out on meeting alumni. So I'm going to tell you now, we do alumni events. We've been doing 40 to 50 in the last year or 2. Many of them are now virtual. Come and meet our alumni and then connect with them on LinkedIn afterwards. Reference where you've met them. And as Nitish said, don't make your ask initially. You know, feel them out a little bit. Make that relationship start to develop naturally. So thank you all for your insights on that. I'm going to move on to the next question. What is one thing you wish you had done as a graduate student at NYU that would have helped you professionally? One thing you wish you had done as a graduate student that now as a professional, you understand that it would have helped you more professionally.
I think I can start, and this is based on the question that you just asked from the chat box about how do you connect with your professors better. When you asked that, I didn't have any pointers on it whatsoever because I, for one, did not do that. And looking back, I think that's something that I missed out on. We have such brilliant professors at NYU, and they're very approachable. They have cabin hours set for students to come and speak to them. And when I was a student, I would always like shrug it off if it doesn't fit well with my schedule. But I think now when I think about it, I should have included it in my schedule more often and spend time with the professors, not just because they're so knowledgeable about their subject, but they also know so much about the industry. So it's not just their knowledge about the curriculum, but there are so many ideas that you can punt off of them about projects, about where you want to go in your career, what's the requirement of the industry as of now. There's so many things that you can cover with them. So I think that's one thing to keep in mind, that when you have such amazing professors, make sure that you spend enough time with them.
Thank you. Very good point. Very good point. This wasn't intentional, but we have 2 former graduate student council presidents with us. So I am going to ask 1 or 2, if both of you would like to talk about the importance of participating in the council. What opportunities do you feel came your way because of the activity? Okay, there are 3. I'm missing someone. Who's all right? So all 3. Thank you, Pri, for putting that out there in the chat. So there are 3 versions of what we should do, can do. We don't want this to be a shoulda, woulda, coulda. So talk about your experience volunteering for your fellow students, even though you had a crowded plate already. What made you do it? Who did you meet because of it? Did you think it was worthwhile?
Okay, I'll go first since I was the
Okay.
most recent one.
Yes, you were twice.
So we had a very different model since everything was online, and I was on the graduate student council for a very short time, but I would say that I came out of it with so much experience, with a lot of exposure to new people. There were interactions with professors. We had events with them. We had events of different organizations that came to us, and we interacted with them. And personally, being not just president, but just being part of these committees, I would student bodies, is very helpful because you interact with different type of people on very daily basis. You learn more about time management, your management, project management, everything, in this just one thing of yours. So I think if anyone gets the opportunity to be associated with the GSC or other committees, do go for it, because you're just going to do masters once, so just make the most of it. And I had a great time, and I would encourage everyone to have the same. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you. Can I get another volunteer?
I can go next. I think two
So
things
I
come
can
to
speak on the retrospective of it. I wasn't very involved with the Graduate Student Association, but I was involved with the American Institute of Chemical Engineers. So I actually started off as an undergrad there as a member, and then I worked my way up to the e-boards, and then I went to being the president of it. And I just think that these extracurriculars, it's not just a building block in the resume, which it looks great. Don't get me wrong, it does. It's a conversation starter. It piques people's interest, and these extra organizations have their own set of network outside the university, which connects people to other universities, other job places, etc. It's definitely a good resume builder, but it really does help you like socialize on a professional level. I think a lot of people, I still think college students are kids because I was a kid in college. And I think when I socialize with my friends, it's different than when I socialize with a professional. And I think these organizations help you build that social professional skill, because it's very hard to come out of a setting where we're all casually speaking. And even with our professors, we speak quite frankly with them. They become our friends after a while. But to switch it up and have that professional type of outlook, that professional pitch, and yet not sound like, oh, I'm only talking to you because I want a job. It's really like be genuine about it, because at the end of the day, no professional wants to be looked at as a stepping stone for you to get a job. So I think these extracurriculars really build that up. And I think if I would have to go back and do my master's, I would be more involved with something like the Graduate Student Association. I would get involved with, other organizations as well. I know time-wise it's hard, but I think it's important. I was involved with one. I was more involved outside of the university, but I would definitely explore the paths that are available to kids in the university as well. And with NYU's incorporation, because when I first started, it was very like poly. It was like Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Brooklyn. But now with main campus and this worldwide network we have, I think we should. That's one thing we have to take the advantage of, because that's one thing I would definitely go back and take advantage of. I'm so jealous. Anthony went to Abu Dhabi and flew drones in the desert. I would love to do that if I had the opportunity.
I think we lost Valerie.
Tim, did you want to give your perspective on working?
Yeah, sure thing. I think for me, two things that come to my mind, basis my experience that are very important when you kind of move to the professional milieu, right? One is your people management skills, because once you kind of move to a job, you're going to meet people from different cultures, different backgrounds, ethnicities. And the ability to, like, you're never going to meet the same kind of people, right? There's always going to be people with different mindsets and beliefs. So the ability to, like, fit well and blend in seamlessly into that work environment, that's something, I think GSC set me really well for. And the second thing is your execution excellence, right? The knack of getting things done the right way in the right manner, which I think is very important once you kind of step onto the professional space, right? Because oftentimes when it comes to, like, your graduate student life, you're a bit guarded, you have that comfort of meeting peers, you're in a more closed and grounded society, right? But once you kind of move on to, the juxtaposition is often, it takes some time. It's not very seamless to blend into a work environment that easily post, student life. So I think two skills that I think was really important for me that I kind of learned from my time as president was these two. And the third is, think about this, right? Like, it's a very competitive market, and New York is a city that never sleeps. There's pretty much around thousands of students like you, particularly at NYU, who are going to compete for, the coveted big names, right? So what makes you stand apart? Yes, profile is important, but at the end of the day, what makes you stand out from your peers, right? That's something that you may want to think about and develop on. I'm not saying look at it from a very transactional perspective, but make sure your profile is well-rounded and you're not only looking at, just from an academic standpoint. You have a 3.9 GPA, so what? Who's going to hire you, right? They're going to look for the right set of skill sets that you kind of bring onto the table. And that's where this leadership experience comes into perspective. You not only need to lead, like, a council per se, right? It could be your volunteering activities, because all of these get looked at when someone makes the decision on the dotted line.
Thank you so much. Okay, the next question is, what was your favorite experience, either academic or extracurricular, as a graduate student at the School of Engineering?
Can I answer this? So I think my answer would be the career fairs, and getting free goodies there was the best part of my graduate life. And I really miss it because most of my master's was online, but I hope to catch up in the future.
Thank you.
I can go next. I think for me, it was two things. One was more on the academic front, where I got to work on this industry project while I was in school. So I got to work on an industry project with the chief investment officer of a hedge fund, which I think was really cool for someone who was just a student. And the second one was being a part of the student council. And I know we covered a lot of it with Nitin and Priyanjana and even Valentina with the club. But the only thing I'll add there is that for me, it was about, like, I didn't even know the kind of exposure that I would get from it. It was only along the way that I figured out that this was so great. But I got to hang out with Dean Yelena. I got to hang out with the board members of NYU. I got to spend so much time with members of OSARC, which are the best people in the world, I think. They're so supportive. They're like really vested in your success. And to have those people around you, to have that network around you, when you're not really focused on, oh, what's my next career move, or what do I get from this? Where you're just focused on growing and letting everyone around you grow as well. I think that for me was very fulfilling.
Does anyone else want to share?
If I could add a little more on that, I think I don't want to say basketball, but basketball is definitely one of my favorite. So Tandon has a great basketball court, and that's definitely one of my favorite things to say, but I think it's a little inappropriate to say basketball is my favorite thing. So I'd have to add a little bit more to that. I'd definitely encourage people to work at Makerspace. It's a great place to work because you get to mentor other students on design and product design, rapid prototyping, and even if you don't want to work there, just utilize the space there is a great experience. You know, they have the cutting edge technology, manufacturing tools, different workshops that you can participate in. Definitely a really great facility to take advantage of. And I have to emphasize again, if any of the attendees here are mechanical or energy related majors, even not related, I think that's fine too. I encourage you to take a class called Energy Policy, and I believe it's offered every fall, and it's taught by Professor Gabriel Afterinos, and it's a great course. You'll get a lot of it, and there is a lot of trips that you would actually take. Visiting Cogen plant, visiting the NYU Future Labs, just to combine course material to the real life material, and also beyond, because I think many of the students from that class ended up being mentored by Professor Afterinos, which is really helpful to me in my professional career. And then lastly is all the competitions that are available and the events that are available, like NYU Prototyping Fund, NYU Innovation Competition, which is almost like NYU's version of Shark Tank. And basically, I participated in it, and I built a porta potty that's stackable, and that was the concept that won the $15,000 first place. So, it's a great opportunity. You get to see everyone's creativeness and everyone's idea, everyone's hard work to put together a pitch. It's almost like, building a startup. And there are actually, teams that ended up becoming real startups after graduation. So, these are I'm really just touching the tip of the iceberg here, but so many events that are just free and accessible to everyone. Yeah, just waiting for you to take advantage of.
Thank you, Anthony. At this time, I would like to give someone in the audience a chance to ask a question. Does anyone want to use the raise hand feature and ask a question live to one of the panelists? Or you can always enter in the chat box. So feel free to raise your hand and ask a question.
So can I ask a question, please? Yeah, sure. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so hello, it's nice to meet you all, and I'm really proud of you all. And I'm gonna start my PhD in civil engineering. So, and actually after I listen to you, I'm thinking about changing my career from civil engineering, because yeah, you have a lot. Yeah, because if I'm a civil engineer, I can't join Amazon. So I just have a question that what should I do for like 4 or 5 years for my PhD, hopefully. So, or after I finish, like what are they looking for? Like how to build a good pursue my PhD, I can get a good job.
I don't know if it was just my audio, but I didn't hear the question in its entirety. Does someone want to echo the question?
Yep, I agree with you. If you can just type in your question again or say that again, I think we just lost your words in between.
Okay, does someone else want to raise their hand and ask a question to the audience? We have a few more minutes and we can get back to that question if he wants to type his message directly in the chat box and clarify it.
Hey, I think Amro has been asking the same question, and so I want to bring that to everyone's attention. He's asking what is something that you think is important to exploit early on in one's degree, something that is time sensitive and is best if started as early as possible in your degree. And I'll speak for myself, and I think everyone definitely has better answers than me. For me, I ended up pursuing a robotics career, and I definitely wish I started coding, programming a lot earlier. And these are things that I can't really foresee until I actually actively participate in it, and I start to know what I'm lacking. So I guess start reaching out to professors that are related to your major and ask them, even if you're not asking for an opportunity to work in their lab, ask for advice from professor and say, hey, where do you think, what are the skill sets that are most important if I want to pursue a professional career in this path? That would be my advice.
Can I add to that? So I think two things is, which is time sensitive, is, we've been talking about networking since the beginning. And I think we should network for long term and not just for the sake of getting internships or jobs, as Nitin and other people mentioned. So just make sure that you develop the relationship from the start. And I mean, I can guarantee it'll come to use in very different ways in the future. That's the first thing. And the second is make use of your email IDs with EDU. You're going to get so many free accesses. I mean, I had interest in finance, and I knew NYU has a lot of free courses of Bloomberg. So if you guys are interested, just like one helpful suggestion. So make sure you explore that too. So a lot of free resources using your email address would be helpful at the start.
I just want to jump in and apologize for my lack of connectivity, but I'm back. And I know that we only have a few minutes left, and Allie and I have been texting, so I know that she was my right hand. She jumped right in, so we're all good there. But I do want to take the opportunity in the final minutes that are here to impose on Gabriel, our adjunct faculty member and our illustrious mentor, because I think that he may have a few parting words. I know that Anthony referenced him a few times during this conversation. I know the impact he has had on so many generations of students, not only at Tandon, but at Stern School of Business. So if the panelists wouldn't mind, I'd like to put the floor over to Gabriel for a minute or two, and then back to everyone else.
Thanks, Valerie.
Gabriel, am I putting you on the spot? I hope not.
No, that's your usual modus operandi, so I'm used to it. Hi, everybody. I'm also a Tandon graduate of a few decades ago, 1973 to be specific, chemical engineering. But I also went to Stern and I got my MBA. The point here is I'm very impressed by what I've heard from all of you talking, the panelists, as well as what the audience questions have been. And there's two big takeaways that I think have been emphasized by everybody. Number one, NYU has plenty of resources, Tandon specifically oriented for engineering students, but you have to go get them. Nobody's going to come and give them to you on a silver platter. So you have to search, find them, and connect. And that leads me to the second important thing, and those are the connections. You do not network when you're looking for a job. You network when you're not looking for a job. You have to develop the relationship with people, whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it's professors. And in due course, when you prove yourself and you've done different things, those relationships are going to allow you to then go to the next step of internships or jobs. And number three, experiential learning. I think the panelists have talked about how important it is to supplement your courses with actually doing things hands-on, whether it's working in makerspace, whether it's doing an internship during the summer, whether it's working with a professor on a research lab or as a TA, anything like that gives you hands-on experience, because that will make you understand better which way you want to go with your career. So congratulations to everybody. I look forward for the 5th year to be teaching energy policy and environmental constraints, and we're in an exciting time for that particular topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel. And he outed me. yes, I am shameless when it comes to tapping on talent to help our students and to help our more recent alums. So consider you're all part of that circle of mine. Consider yourselves tapped. Consider yourself someone that I believe is an important tool for the next generation of professionals. It's Friday, it's 1 o'clock. I want to wrap up really quickly by asking each of you for one quick memory, your favorite memory of Tandon, and it can be quick. And that way we will sign off. And I thank you all for coming. So let's take it away. And I'll do Pri.
Oh my God, that was quick. I think my favorite memory would be the first day, which is the orientation that we had, and the NGSO, they took us to World Trade Center. That's the only time I've been there, and it was one of the best experiences. So yeah.
Thank you. I don't know, Anthony.
Okay, my favorite memory, I guess, would be the moment when I was announced the winner of a intervention competition, because that was during the peak of COVID, and it was probably the third or the fourth month that I've been locked inside my room, and just having something to be engaged with, and then the moment you hear your name jumping off, and almost spill everything on your desk, that was an incredible feeling.
Very good, Kanak.
Yep. So for me, actually, my favorite memory is the last day of NYU for me. So that was my commencement ceremony. I actually attended both NYU and NYU Tandon ceremony. So I still remember the date. It was May 18, 2016 and May 21, 2016. And it still gives me goosebumps even if I see the YouTube video again. When I'm actually going on the stage doing the grad walk, shaking hands with the dean, and my parents actually shouting shouting with pride my name that their daughter did it. I think that was definitely, even while saying right now, I must still have goosebumps. That's the best one. Yeah.
I feel your goosebumps. That's a nice memory. Valentina.
So I think one of my favorite moments was, it's really hard for me to differentiate between undergrad and grad, only because I did it together. But one of the moments I had was we had a senior design project, but it was also for one of my grad classes, for my HVAC class, and we finished the presentation and we got the grade. I think we got the grade immediately, and we just went to a bar and sat there for like 10 hours. And we were like, we're done. It's over.
Very good.
It was a sense of relief.
I can tell from the smile on your face, it was still pretty memorable. Natine?
I think I said mine already. I think that 2-minute walk that I took at Yankees, taking the Tandon banner and getting to be with Justin and the larger crowd. And it was Dean Srini's last commencement also. So I had the privilege of sharing the stage with him. So that to me was my best NYU memory.
Sharaya?
I think I kind of mentioned mine too, but it was the day when I was elected the first female president of Graduate Student Council, and it felt like a great achievement to me. Valerie, if you don't mind, I just have one thing that I want to say, and I'll wrap this up quickly. But something that I want to leave with the audience of this panel is that you're at the beginning of a 2-year journey. I think this is a good time to think about who you want to be after the 2 years have passed, and what do you want to achieve with your time at NYU. And it might be something as simple as landing as a job, but what kind of a job? What is that you want to do, or where do you want to be after 2 years? When you think about those things, and when you think about your top 3 goals maybe, and you start from there, everything that this course or this program will throw at you, you will be able to prioritize that well, and realize what's important versus what's not, and bucket it well going forward. So I think that's a thought that I just want to leave with the audience.
Thank you very much for adding that. It's a perfect way for us to close. I'm going to say to our audience, to the new graduates that are coming down the pike, go make some memories. They will last a lifetime. Thank you so much, everyone. This has been a great session, and you are all fantastic for doing this for us. And again, much continued success. You're making us really proud. You're part of the legacy that we build on. So thank you for that, and have a good weekend. And I hope to see you in person in the near future. All right. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and stay in touch. We need to stay connected. Thank you all.
Thank you.